But so it can work because there are all sorts of physical symptoms that are caused by beliefs that you have, subconscious beliefs that you have. But those beliefs also can cause all sorts of stress in your life. They can result in unsupporting relationship. It's all parts of your life that those beliefs impact.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of More Clients, Less Effort. I am super excited to be joined by Judy Kane today. Judy, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Now, Judy is the author of Your Four Truths, How Beliefs Impact Your Life. Judy is a transformative coach dedicated to helping individuals get past barriers that are keeping them stuck or causing them discomfort. She helps people change the limitations, subconscious beliefs that are holding them back. Through speaking engagements, workshops, and individual client work, Judy empowers others to achieve their goals. Now, that all sounds amazing, Judy, but you weren't always a coach or a transformative coach that helped people get up and stuck.
Not always. No, I wasn't.
Now,
Go ahead.
No, I was about to say you found yourself for a very, very long time in IT and IT management.
Yeah.
Now, take me back. All right, you're in IT management. How do you get into that field in the first place? Right, because
Well, that was kind of a wandering path as well. I majored in statistics in college.
Absolutely natural progression to transformation coach, right?
Absolutely. I spent several years at the electric company and in 3 different departments, and the final one was in IT because I had dabbled with that in college. And so when I changed companies, that's all I did as long as I was at corporate was IT, and I ended up in management.
Yep. Talk to me because this sort of predates what we know as the internet now, and that you're in IT. What was the biggest changes you were seeing through that period? I mean, because obviously when we talk about being transformative and look at where you're stuck, you would have seen that throughout your career, that you suddenly, as I did when I started in IT, one of my first roles was putting these boxes in front of people to change the way they worked.
Well, I started with punch cards, so...
Punch cards. Oh my God, okay. So we've been in IT for a very long time, but we're talking about the transformation of how people work, right? And people go, oh my God, what is this thing? But talk to me, let's go back to punch cards and what you saw changes in your industry.
Well, it was huge, right? I mean, from people there weren't PCs, they were dumb terminals that people worked at. Everything was kind of rote. It was hard to get work done electronically, really. The machines are massive. You had to punch paper cards and transport those to wherever the machine was that read them, which evolved over time to PCs, right? To suddenly having laptops, to not having to stay home if you were on call for a system, because eventually we got cell phones, right? First we got pagers, and then we got cell phones, and then we got laptops. So we could travel around if we were responsible for any particular system, which was very freeing, right? Well, then you got to work at home. And I used it depended on the person, right? Some people got more work that they were doing than really was healthy for them because they could do that from anywhere. So you had to watch that as well. And then that all, of course, eventually moved into web systems and that type of thing. So a huge difference in the types of computing that's done, the power of the machines, the intuitive nature of the systems that got put into place.
Do you think they're more productive as a result of all the IT we've thrust upon people over the last 50 years?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah,
I do, for sure.
Yeah, I think from a professional perspective, people have lived through one of the obviously the most rapid change in the way we work than almost any time in history.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Obviously, a lot more people sitting in cubicles now than there ever was. And I heard the whole laptop thing. A lot of people talk about this laptop lifestyle that you go and sit on the beach and drink cocktails while you watch the waves crash on the sand, right? As the coconut lifestyle, like coconut business.
I really don't think any of my people did that. I know I didn't.
To be honest, I think while it sounds really awesome, I don't know that many people do it, right? And the opportunity to be a digital nomad, very few people actually take that up. You got out of IT, and you decided to try your hand as a realtor. Why?
Well, it was always the plan. My then husband was a realtor, and we'd always said that once I stopped doing IT, I would become a realtor and help out with some of the things that were challenging for a lot of people that are good in sales. They don't necessarily have project management skills or desktop Microsoft Office skills. So just from that standpoint, those were things that were kind of natural to me. And it was not my niche, but it was a really good way to see how entrepreneurs needed to do work. Because you don't have to go find your work when you're in corporate.
It just
it comes at you, right? But learning a little bit about running your own business as an entrepreneur, the value of networking and marketing, and all the systems you have to have in place to run what's basically your own business. It was a really good window into that.
Yeah. So tell me, how did you then transition into doing the work you do now in terms of helping people become unstuck? What was it about your transition from corporate to effectively small business operator, even within an agency? What was it about that you felt getting stuck here? I need to kind of do some work, that you started to see with other people?
It was towards the beginning of being a realtor that I discovered the process that I use with people. And it fascinated me. I was really captured by the possibilities of it, by the straightforwardness of it, the effectiveness of it. But I had committed to doing the realtor work for a while. So I did that, but while I was growing my skills on the other side of it, right? But I was immediately, as soon as I saw this process, knew I needed to learn it, and I wanted to use. I didn't think I was going to make a business out of it. I thought it was going to be just for me and people I knew. But after 3 years of doing it, in 2014, I decided it was too good not to share. So I made it a business then.
Okay. So the process we're talking about here is -K.
Yeah.
What does the K stand for?
The key, it's like, it's pulling together mind, body, soul. It's a holistic. When you make a change, it affects all parts of you, because your beliefs impact your physical health, your emotional health, your mental processing. It just affects all parts of you. So that was how they came up with the name.
Yeah. Tell me about how it affected you to start with. What was your block? What was the limiting belief that you were facing as you moved into real estate and thought, oh my God, this is the key for me?
Well, what convinced me was seeing them use it with my then husband, and they got rid of a pain he had in less than 5 minutes, and it never came back.
We're talking about a physical pain?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And that was impressive, right? And they weren't interpreting messages or moving energy. They were working with the belief system with this process, which was really straightforward. And it was like, I could do that, right? Because it's process. It appealed to me as a linear thinker.
Well, it's an occupational hazard in IT, isn't it? You have to be that.
Right? Yeah. And it's like, I could do that. And so that was what appealed to me. But so it can work because there are all sorts of physical symptoms that are caused by beliefs that you have, subconscious beliefs that you have. But those beliefs also can cause all sorts of stress in your life. They can result in unsupporting relationships. It's all parts of your life that those beliefs impact.
Yeah. Where do those beliefs come from?
Most of them are there by the time you're 7, and you're picking them up, the most part, from immediate family and other areas that you come into contact with, although you can get them from one impactful situation. And it's not limited to childhood, obviously, because people can get PTSD at any point in their life. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's one of the things I've often considered is about what are these beliefs? Why do we have them? How do we change them to serve us a little bit better? Because a lot of our beliefs not only can serve us well as the ones that don't.
Yes.
And ultimately, I think they're there to protect us in our environment, aren't they?
Yeah, when we land, we're actually designed, it's pretty smart. We come in pretty much a blank slate so that we can be a little sponge for the environment that we land in, which is going to make us more acceptable to that group of people, right? If we came in with our own agenda, the group might not keep us. So you want to learn what the rules of the group are, and so that's kind of the way it works. And so some of them are definitely they're all supposed to be serving us well at that point, but some of them don't serve you well, particularly when you grow up. The amount of money conflicting beliefs that people have can keep them all balled up. What's safe? What isn't, emotionally or physically? Are you willing to take risks? Is being successful a bad thing because you don't want to be one of those people that has too much money because you don't want to be like them? I mean, you learn all sorts of limiting beliefs. There's not enough of this, that, or the other that you think you need. All those things, all the beliefs, they could impact about 95% of our behavior. And they are the prism through which we view events, people, ourselves. It's really our default system.
Yeah. And I think you're right. You're absolutely right. We pick these sort of things up from everywhere. We pick them up from the school. We pick them up from the 5 people we spend the most time with. We pick them up from our parents' religious beliefs or our religious education. Right? Those ones are nicely codified in a book for us to sort of read every day and reinforce those beliefs. And we pick them up, as you said, probably from our parents' attitudes towards money. We have this and other people don't. And if we see acceptance and tolerance of those people who have money and we don't, well, then we potentially more ambitious. If we see, oh my God, the neighbours have bought a new car, they probably sold drugs for it. We go, and drugs are bad.
Yes.
Probably going to be better. I recall a conversation there with a couple of mates, and I can't even remember how we got into it while I was in France last year. And 2 of the guys were like, billionaires are evil. If you become a billionaire, you're inherently evil. I mean, if you stop at $999,999.99, inherently you're good. But as soon as you get to $1 billion, no, you become evil. I'm like, where does that belief come from? Why is that? Right?
Yeah. They come from all sorts of places, right? You don't always even know what they are because they aren't necessarily spoken to you.
Yeah.
They're just modeled.
We just copy them without unconsciously. The unconscious competence at your beliefs. How did you grow, right? So you've learned this thing, you've seen it transform your husband's life from a physical pain perspective, which I find fascinating to think that my beliefs could affect how my body operates.
Yep.
But you've gone, this is interesting, you go and do these studies. How does that transform for you to then into a business?
Well, I started the business. I had an overwhelming list. This was one of the beliefs that I changed pretty early on. Overwhelming list of things that everyone must do to have a successful business, right? I mean, it was like, you got to have the website, you got to have a weekly blog, got a weekly newsletter, and you got to post multiple times a day on 4 platforms. And I mean, the list was, I had been on Facebook and LinkedIn, but I wasn't, this was like so much more all at once that it kind of froze me. It paralyzed me for a little bit. I started networking because I had moved out of state just to make things a little more challenging. I didn't know anybody where I moved. So it was going to be really hard to get business if I didn't go out and meet people. So I found out what some networking groups were and started going to those. And in the meantime, I started mulling over all this very well-intended advice and decided I had to just listen to myself. Even though I wasn't an expert on marketing, I had to just take it in little steps, right? Could do a couple of things I was comfortable with, get used to it, then add something else that seemed like it was something I would want to do, and stay away from the things I didn't want to do. Because I firmly believe if your heart isn't behind the message, that's not going to work for you. So, yeah.
Okay, tell me about your approach to networking, because I know it's become, and you're still doing it today.
Oh yeah.
So where is about your system of networking? How do you approach it?
I find groups where you can build relationships.
Okay. Tell me about how do you tell from the outside that a group is very relationship focused?
You have to go. You have to try it out.
Yeah.
And so I do. I've visited a lot of different groups and great people. But if you can, particularly with what I do, when I tell people and they roll their eyes or look frantically for somebody else to talk with,
I love it. How do I get away?
That's not my group, right? But you can tell if people are just focused on handing out business cards and shaking your hand for 2 seconds and moving on to the next body, that's not a relationship building place. So you go to places where there are enough people that seem genuinely interested in what you do, and then you follow up with one-to-ones with those people and learn more about what they do, how you might be able to help, who you know that you can refer their way. You build the relationships.
Do you have a system around building relationships, like a checklist or an automation in your business? Or do you just go, I've got a notepad and I write someone's name down and then say, okay, this is what the next step is?
Well, I keep track of who I meet with, but I use spreadsheets actually.
Yeah, nothing wrong with spreadsheets. Okay, so
Yeah.
let's break down the spreadsheet, because I think this is an interesting thing for people. And, like you with those limiting beliefs and the beliefs that we sort of bring into business, that you sort of go, I'm told a way to do something and therefore that's what I do, whether or not it's the most effective way of achieving the outcome or not. So talk to me about how you structure your spreadsheet to help you track the relationships that you've got.
I keep track of who I met with, when I met with them. I keep track of, not spreadsheets, but in files, electronic files, information about. I put keywords in my phone with the contact information so I can search on that. And I keep track of the ones that look like they would be good to keep following up with in a different sheet, right? Those are the ones that I pay more regular attention to. But a lot of the times what I'm looking for with the networking are people I can collaborate with. People, coaches. I serve as a resource to coaches, because a lot of times coaches have clients that get stuck in those coaching programs, and I don't do what those coaches do. I don't do behavior, strategy, accountability. I focus on changing the subconscious beliefs, so I can help them when their clients are stuck, so that everybody's happier.
Yeah, and everyone gets a better outcome from the result. I actually really like that approach, right? So I'm picturing your spreadsheet here as like, column 1, name; column 2, where do I meet; column 3, what time did I meet; column 4, is this a good fit or not; what do they do; maybe column 5, a couple of tags to say business coach, realtor, IT professional, podcaster, whatever might fit into that to be appropriate, which you can then search on and find all your podcasters or podcast guests or whatever, how you can serve those people. And then you move the ones who are coaches that seem like good referral partners into a separate tab or whatever, and say, these are the people that are my key strategic partners.
Yeah.
And you spend more time with them, right? So you go to their Facebook profile, you go to their LinkedIn profile, you like, you comment, you share their stuff more often and add value.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. I think that's a really key thing. I've certainly noticed in my business, referrals are one of our key marketing pillars, right? Our key growth pillars. And I have definitely noticed that the people I spend more time with are the ones who refer me more. And it's not necessarily the ones that I spend more time with talking about my business. It's just the people I spend more time with. So it might be going out for lunch or giving a call or attending a footy game or something like that with them. If I spend more time with those people, they refer me more often, even if I don't necessarily tell them exactly about everything that I'm doing in my business.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree,
Yeah,
Chris. And it's based on the relationships, right? I mean, if you don't spend the time with them, you don't have the relationship. They either don't think of you or they don't know enough to know what to tell other people about you to begin with.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just the thing, right? Have a system, because we can't remember all of the people we've spoken to, can we?
No, I can't.
I don't know anyone can. I'm not sure there's some people out there that can, but most people don't. Most people don't. Do you think, I'm just going to throw back to your earlier comments, do you think that not documenting and not systemizing stuff around relationships and networking is a limiting belief in itself?
It could be. Are you saying that if somebody thinks it doesn't work, that it wouldn't?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. If you don't think something works, or if you don't think something is there, it's not going to work, or you're not going to find it. That's part of the scarcity thing, right? If people don't think there are enough clients out there for whatever they do, or don't think there's enough time in the day or enough money to live on, whatever the resource is, they won't see it. Their mind is supporting their belief.
Yeah. Well, I would think that if your niche market is one-legged dwarfed astronauts, for whom you sell gravity rehabilitation services, you're probably right. It is a very, very small market. But in most cases, it's not. One of the examples I love to use, and think if there's not enough to niche, I think niching is one of the areas that people think, if I niche down to a particular sector, I will run out of clients real quick, right? And I'll miss out. Is that there are, in the US alone, there are 40,000 acupuncturists. That's quite a few.
It is quite a few.
So
okay.
Multiply that by a few to go globally, and then you've got plenty of market to serve.
Well, true. And I mean, how much capacity do you have to serve? I mean, there are a lot. I haven't met a person yet that doesn't have limiting beliefs. Can I help them all? Absolutely not. There's not any way I would have the capacity to help all the people that need that. So You want to hook them up with the people that can help them and spread it out, because there are so many people out there that need whatever anybody's doing for the most.
Yeah, absolutely. Judy, we normally take people out with a bit of a quick fire, but the first one I want to ask, because this is a limiting belief I think that people have about networking, is, are you an introvert or an extrovert?
I am an extrovert.
Okay. Do you think that makes networking easier?
I think it makes it easier to fit in your day. I know some excellent networkers who are introverts. They just need more time to gear up and recover.
Yeah. Deeper, I've heard it described as an extrovert will have lots of relationships with lots of people that aren't as deep. An introvert will have fewer relationships that are much more intimate.
That may be true. Although I've got some close friends, so I don't know.
What's a common myth about your field of expertise?
So I work a lot of times with people with trauma. And a lot of very effective people think the only way to solve that, to resolve that, is to dig into it. And I have a deep objection to that. I think there are ways of helping people with trauma where they don't have to re-traumatize themselves to work through it. So that's one big one.
Yeah. What's the best compliment you've ever gotten?
Oh, wow. When my grandson told me I was a good dancer.
Yeah, love that. If you could go back and give your 18-year-old self one piece of advice, what would that be?
To listen to my inner wisdom in a more trusting way. I didn't listen at all, and if I had, I wouldn't have trusted it back.
What's the biggest mistake you've made in business, and how did you overcome it?
Well, it was probably becoming a realtor.
Love that.
And I overcame that by not being a realtor anymore.
Yeah. What's one thing that's changed in business over your career that you think is not for the better?
The pressure to always be on. People need to stop at several points during a day. They need to rest. They need to restore. They need something that adds a little balance in their life. And with all the opportunities and demands for always being there and responsive and keeping up with all the stuff, I don't think that's good for our systems.
Yeah, I would agree there, absolutely. Lastly, what's a unique skill or aptitude, I guess, that you have that has helped you be successful in your work you're doing now?
I really enjoy the process of helping people. I've always been a puzzle solver, and what I do is figuring out the puzzle of what needs to change to get this all fit together the way they want it. So I think that's a good one that I've got. That, and I'm good at listening to people and hearing what they're saying.
Yeah, and apparently a good dancer as well.
According to my 3-year-old grandson, yes.
I love it. Absolutely love it. Judy, really appreciate you joining us on the show today and sharing your wisdom. I think it's an incredibly important thing for all entrepreneurs to think about and going, I'm acting in a certain way or I believe a certain thing. Is this serving me or not? And then working out whether that's a belief you want to carry forward to the next chapter of your business.
I've enjoyed this conversation.
All right, guys, if you want to check out more about Judy, you can reach out to Judy at alignedconsciousness.com. You can find Judy on LinkedIn and Facebook. Facebook is just searching Aligned Consciousness in the search bar. And you can find Judy on LinkedIn as well at Judy Kane PSYCH-K, PSYCH-K, and connect up with Judy and see if she might be able to help you maybe with some of the limited beliefs that you're not necessarily aware of. Guys, thanks again for joining us on today's show. Look forward to catching you on another episode real soon.